Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Payson, and I'm honored to have a returning guest on the show with an upcoming fight at Brawl in the Burgh 18 for 247 Fighting Championships. Ace Christner. Ace, welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be here. I last moment. I'm enjoying it. I'm ready, excited.
You are a very excitable person and a very entertaining fighter. I've gotten to call your fights, and we're actually going to have a great opportunity to talk about a recent fight you had that was so entertaining. It's on the shores of potential award for Fight of the Year, as well as ended in a draw, and so you're going to be running that back. Let's first talk a little bit about your profession. You're not a full-time professional MMA fighter yet. You are actually an EMT, and you're currently coming from your EMT house or whatever
Right.
that's called. So what's it like? What do you like about being an EMT, and what got you into it before we start talking about fighting?
So I'm obviously here at the great, wonderful base of Medic 10. We are very fortunate to have a very large base, and I'm actually in the library, which if you ask around, you'll never see a library in an ambulance service. But I love it. The times I work 24-hour shifts, so other than being tired all the time, I obviously have 5 days to train for fighting, so I get to do whatever I want besides this. Overtime, all the time. I enjoy talking to people. I talk a lot, obviously. I'm good with people. I enjoy medicine. I have a photographic memory, so I know like the protocols off the back of my hand. So if you ever call an ambulance and I show up, you're very fortunate. I got into it because I wanted to be a cop. That went out the window pretty soon. But I was in this protective service class, and we were learning about EMS. And like I said, I have a photographic memory, and I just happen to be very good at it. So I continued doing it, and here I am 3 years later. Started at 17, 20 now, and still going.
Yeah, that's great. And as a professional mental health counselor, I love the fact that not only are you good at the medical side of EMS, which is obviously important, but also the human interaction side. A whole lot of EMS response has an element of mental health, either somebody who's in a mental health crisis or somebody who doesn't have mental health issues, but now they're in a medical, crisis, and that kind of flares up emotional things. So I think it's wonderful. If I ever need the ambulance, I'm going to call you, and you can drive 3 or 4 hours, whatever it is, to come save me. So that'll work out very well. That's really cool. I'm glad. So I know we've talked before, and I talk a little bit about your gym and what it's like to train there. It's really great that you have 5 days a week. You're probably training a lot, given the fact that you're also work full time. But it's kind of cool with your job that it's flexible because you have 5 days off. So talk a little about the training and kind of how that's been going and what brought you to that gym in the first place.
So my boss here is actually like high school friends with Aldo Garcia, our coach, like the head coach of Ambiars.
Yeah.
And Aldo's kind of funny. I mean, he is amazing as a coach, but like we have this thing, it's called the culture of excellence. And we have to meet the standard of the culture of excellence. So not everyone gets to stay. It's like a pick and choose, but you pretty much know right away if you belong or not. And we're all very encouraging there. Like we want people to succeed, but you really have to want it. You have to want to be there. And I love the gym altogether. It's run very well by Aldo. He is an amazing coach. He helps me personally. He helps everyone in the broad term. I also cross train a lot now. All American. I go to All American every Friday. NyQuil Nick, scariest dude ever. He just he's like a backpack. Like if he grabs you, you might as well just call the coroner because you're done for. And I've been going to the academy occasionally. I've been trying to go there as much as I can because it is a long drive for me. But Kamala, awesome. I have this Des. I actually met at one of the fights. She invited me down, and that's how I've been. That's how I've been going. So I've been doing a lot of training and having the 5 days a week. Every day is 6:30, except for my 2 days I work. And then on top of that, I also go to the gym beforehand. So I do my like lifting and then I do my boxing. So it's technically 2 workouts. I used to think that 2 workouts was wild, but it's not that bad.
Well, I think the only thing that makes it maybe a little more wild is the fact that they're back to back. But I would say most mixed martial artists, do multiple training sessions a day because of needing to lift, because of different elements. I was just talking to a professional kickboxer, used to do MMA, Zach Kelly, shout out Zach Kelly. And he was talking about how he's just doing pro kickboxing because in the MMA world, even though he was good and liked it, there's so many things to constantly work on. And of course, he was at a pro level with over 40 fights. For you as an amateur going into, I think, your fourth fight, what's what part of MMA? You mentioned boxing. What there's so many levels and layers to MMA. You could do takedown. You could do takedown from certain positions. You can do submissions for certain positions. You can do certain types of sweeps. You can do certain types of. You mentioned training with Nyquil Nick, and he's probably. I mean, he's good all over, but he's probably best known for his jujitsu and kind of having a very unique, almost Damian Maya style in MMA. So, what aspect of MMA do you think you're currently kind of most excited about learning or maybe making the most progress? Because once you bump up to advanced amateur, then there's more tools, pro, there's more tools. So it's like a never ending thing. But go ahead with what you've been enjoying learning and working on recently.
I think, well, not like a specific style of it, but I do a lot of Muay Thai,
Yeah.
and my shebang there. I love Muay Thai. I like the kicks and the punches. I was a wrestler for 9 years, and I was pretty good. And I coach wrestling at Amviers on Thursdays too. But like in the amateurs, I really like the showy part. Like I hate to be egotistical and like, oh, I'm putting on a show, but like I hate when people lay on each other. It makes me angry. Like I is physically frustrated when people lay on each other because I'm like literally just punch him, beat him up, do something. But there's no ground and pound in amateur. So if I like take him down, then I'm just gonna lay on him, and I might just take him down just to look at him and then let him back up because I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I like the Muay Thai. I wish I could throw elbows and knees to the head. I took one. But yeah, I love Muay Thai. It is I used to make fun of it, which is how I actually learned it, which is very ironic because I was always like away, away, and now I'm literally away.
Well, that's a great transition to the fact that there's rule sets, and currently you've got to work with the rule set you have. And in the current rule set you're in, all the way up to pro, you're not allowed to get kneed in the face. Of course, you were an accidental knee in your most recent fight. So obviously it was illegal. There was a point taken. You ended up in a draw. There was a ton of striking, banging back and forth. That's why I think it was such an entertaining fight for us. Caprice Hall, great opponent for you, and you guys are running it back. So let's first talk about what was it like. The referee Chip Snyder made the right call because it was an illegal strike, hit hard enough to knock your mouthpiece out. It was clearly deserving of losing a point, although that's a bit subjective. What was it like taking that strike? Obviously, at the pro level, those would be legal. So, what did you feel like in there getting the knee? Obviously, it's illegal. We're not here to kind of discuss that. But what was it like taking a strike like that? And then talk about that fight from your perspective.
Well, I think we all saw that I enjoyed it way too much. I got kneed and I ate it, and I like can't feel my lower jaw pretty much ever. So like when people hit me, I just can't feel it. I feel my head sway, but never my jaw. I feel zero pain. So when he kneed me the jaw and I spit my mouth guard out, like all I could think was, man, my mouthpiece is gonna get so dirty now. I'm like a germaphobe, and that's like I had to put my hands up because they're like, don't reach for your mouthpiece. He's gonna keep punching you. But that fight was awesome. I feel I don't think I hit like lightly. I don't think I'm a light hitter, okay? But Caprice's jaw is just it's on point, I would put it on par with my own, just putting it out there. I did take a knee to the jaw, so but like he ate my punches like nothing. And I was impressed. There was a point in the fight where had like been uppercutting him, and it almost seemed like I did nothing to him at all. And I was impressed. I will say, I loved it. And maybe next time when I get a new opponent, their chin won't be invincible, and I'll actually get to finish a fight before the third round.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this fight goes. One of the things that made your fight so exciting was the variety in stand up from both sides, both you and your opponent. And that's a bit unique at the amateur level. Obviously, both you guys are talented fighters, but more specifically, talented strikers. Because a lot of times at the amateur level, there's sort of a strike, a very noticeable strike differential, and then the wrestler takes it to the ground, and kind of a back and forth. You were mentioning uppercuts. You have it makes a lot of sense when you say Muay Thai. You really like that single arm collar tie. Um, I personally think that's what makes Muay Thai very applicable. Aspects of it, maybe not all of it, but aspects of it work very well in MMA. Another reason why UFC retired fighters going into bare knuckle on a technical boxing level, they would get beat up, but a lot of times they win because they're allowed an unlimited single arm collar tie. And I think a lot of pro boxers that transition into bare knuckle don't realize how much of a difference that is from the MMA or Muay Thai world. So talk about that collar tie just in general, and then we'll talk about the rematch that you've got coming up.
That's like pure wrestler instinct, that collar tie. I never trained for it. I never like sit down and I'm sparring someone, I grab the back of their head. Never. It's just pure wrestling instinct for no reason. But like I hate when people run away from me. So it's easier just to grab him so he doesn't start scooting away. Because I like one of those things. Like don't lay down on people and don't run away. It just annoys me. Like just own it. I take punches, he should take punches too. I'm here for the show. I'm here for throwing hands and like I like submissions, takedowns, whatever. Just don't lay on you. Don't run away.
Well, you definitely are there for the show. You're very entertaining. And I just realized it crossed my mind right now. And I know we've never had this situation because we've done 1 year of 247 award show, and it was a smashing success. Can't wait to see what happens with your first fight, first Capri Saw. But I just realized that if your second fight is even just as entertaining, you might be competing against yourself. It might be two fights for fight of the year. So we'll see how that goes and how Ryan Middleton decides to do that. Maybe it'll be a slash, fight. But talk about why you wanted this as a rematch. Obviously, hats off to your opponent Caprice in a great showing in the first fight, very entertaining, ended in a draw. What made you say yes to this as a rematch? And what are your thoughts coming into the upcoming fight, October 21st, Brawl in the Burgh, 18 at the Meadows Casino?
Well, I said yes because he asked me to, and that's pretty much the excitement of it. I would have never asked for a rematch. I like the new experiences, and it's not like I was afraid of it or anything. I want to get out there and experience the world of MMA. But he asked for a rematch, and if I said no, I would have looked really bad. So I'll go for it. Like it was fun the first time, it'll be fun the second time. We'll keep going. Like I'll go for round three too if he wants. Like I've never even thought about a rematch. I'm not a big fan of rematches in amateur, so it caught me off guard. But they ask, I say yes. I say yes to everyone,
Yeah.
anyways.
I
I'm
know
not gonna
that's
start.
already part of your personality is you say yes to everyone. And I think it makes sense. I've reached out to Caprice. Hopefully he'll come on the show, be able to talk because it was a very entertaining fight on both sides. I think I agree with you in general. Rematches in amateur usually only make sense if it was at novice and then advanced amateur because the rule set's different. Or I would say in your case, a draw is almost always a great opportunity for a rematch. If people are interested, and clearly you would have taken somebody else, and that's what makes Jim Mooney, legendary matchmaker for 247, I'm sure, love matching you because you'll take anybody. But I think it's also kind of part of the behind the scenes part that you showed us, particularly at the amateur level and even early pro. The beefs are not like what they are at the UFC level. Fighters talk, fighters hang out, fighters message each other and say, "Hey, dude, let's go again." And like in your case, and you were willing to say sure. So I think that is enough. This is one of those classic examples as a commentator where I'm sure I will say this fight sells itself. And I mean it because one of the cool parts about 247, hats off to the owner Ryan Middleton and GM Hunter. having the 247 app with the catalog of fights means just kind of like what other promotions do. I think what really makes a difference from sort of regional promotions that usually don't have a catalog is it allows fans to watch you, watch all your fights, watch all the Amviras. Am I saying that right? Amviras, Jim. There we go. They can search by fighter, they can search by gym, and of course, search by event. So I think that will build excitement. Whereas a lot of regional MMA promotions, once the fights are done, they're just poof, they're just kind of gone in the ether. And so I really love the 247 Live app. Highly recommend people downloading it. There's a pay version to get the catalog, and there's also the free version to get the podcast. What are your thoughts on, and how much time do you spend watching not only your fights, but other people's fights on the 247 Live app, since it is that huge catalog going all the way back to the beginning?
So honestly, when I got the app, I was really confused on how to buy a pay-per-view, and I ended up buying a subscription. So that's kind of how I ended up doing it. But I watched Timbo's fight, because that's my boy Timbo. I support that man till the day I die. Absolute gangster. But I watch a significant amount. I don't really watch like UFC, like unless it's like a big exciting event. My friends are coming over to watch it. But I do watch a lot of the 247 events. Like I pretty much watched every single one since I started fighting at this point. Just because they're cool and they're like my emotion, so I like to support it. So I'd give it a good like 3 hours a week. But can I say one thing before we run out of questions? So I had a conversation with Hunter earlier, and I was like, "You missed the biggest opportunity to sell tickets for this fight." And I was like, "You should have asked people to dress up in their Halloween costumes to come." So if anyone's listening to this, okay, that is coming to watch me, I want you all to dress up in Halloween costumes because I will be dressing up as a Peaky Blinder, and you'll be able to see me afterward in my Peaky Blinder outfit. And hopefully, after maybe a win, I'll get on the mic and by order of the Peaky Blinders, and then it'll be awesome. Okay, so I want outfits.
I never even thought about it, so I'm glad you're much more creative than I am. I will have to consider. I'll probably still dress professionally, but I'll have to consider what type of Halloween style I could throw on. Maybe I should do a mask that completely distorts my voice, or the Bane
Yeah.
mask the whole time. Could you imagine having a Bane mask on for 4 hours of announcing? That'd be great.
That'd be awesome. I want costume so bad. I think that was a missed opportunity.
Well,
That
it's not a missed opportunity yet because there's still an opportunity for people.
I'm telling it my you know they missed it. I'm going for it. I want my people dressed in costumes.
There we go. Well, we'll make sure, hopefully, people do get this message from this interview and are able to do it. And they still have time. 247 still has time. There's so much. It's a back to back event for people unaware. You're the second part, the second half of the doubleheader, the MMA portion. There's a submission only grappling portion that was incredible last time out in July. It's bound to be even more incredible this time around. So it's a whole weekend of competitions. Really, really exciting stuff. Let's talk about. You've already mentioned some people, but you mentioned Timbo Slice. He had an incredible submission. He had an incredible submission out in Cincinnati. It was awesome. He's just a stud, like you said. So you're a big fan of Tim, and this isn't to make anybody feel badly, but who are you a big fan of, either from your gym or obviously I'm a big fan of Justin the General Patton, Ethan the Wolverine
Oh,
Goster, main event and headlining, and I'm also a fan of their opponents because without opponents they wouldn't be able to show off their skills and vice versa. And Jim Mooney's famous for wanting to put on really well matched fights. Justin just lost a really tough fight that he was winning before getting caught in a submission, and hats off to his opponent Kyle Zimick, because that's the whole point, right, of doing the fight, that these should be competitive, exciting fights. They shouldn't just be hometown guys fighting tomato cans. So hats off to Jim Mooney and everybody that's matchmaking for 247. But for that, who are you really excited to watch, maybe within the 247 promotion, particularly if they're out of your gym?
um, I'm a diehard Patton fan. Well, I go to All American, I see him there, and I will fanboy over him every single time till the day I die. He's watched me jump up and down like a little girl in front of him, and I beg him to spar me and roll with me as much as possible. He head kicked me 4 times in one sparring, and I loved it every time. That man is like God to me. Like I love that man. I like Craig from
Oh,
Craig Blunt. He's from the academy. You know, that's another guy. I think he's a stone cold killer. Every time I see him on a card, like I didn't know his name for a little bit. Sorry, Craig.
Craig Perry. Yeah, Craig Perry. Yeah, Craig Perry was really exciting to see him get a win. He had a probably the worst bad luck start you could have to an amateur MMA career, but the perseverance, the family environment at all the gyms you've mentioned is really important. Kama Death Star Worthy and his crew from Pittsburgh MMA is also known to have that family environment. I know Craig really loves it there.
For the female side, the only girl I know that fights is Raven, and she's great. And I'm sorry about her loss, but honestly, Raven's got a dump coming around the corner. You know, I want to see her fight again. She's actually really really good, and I can't wait for her to just actually showcase that because I follow her. I watch all her mitt work and stuff, and like spreading out the love here. Not just the guys. We have female fighters out there. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see Raven fight again. I'm sure she will. It's not if she's going to. Uh, I'm gonna forget everyone else, but there's other people I like. I love everyone. I'm a talker. I mean, I talked to Caprice while we were at weigh-ins. He's a guy. I love him. I have nothing to say about him as a person. He's cool. I
Yeah,
just
it's
talk.
going to be a heck of a rematch. And just as a caveat, Ace Christner loves everybody who he's punched or has punched him, or in Justin the General Patton's case, head kick. Now I do have to ask kind of a joking question. Somewhere between head kick number 1 and head kick number 4, did you think of blocking the head kicks?
As an amateur, I've never blocked a head kick before. So he actually told me how to do it. Like he's like, you need to block with 2 hands, and then I went like this, and it came from the other side. So it didn't matter either way.
I love that. Well, hey, you can't say you blocked wrong. You blocked correctly, just on the wrong side. So, you'll get it figured out. That is an hilarious story. And yes, you're right. Part of the levels of MMA is learning the skills to defend as the skills get harder and as the challenge increases. So it's always fantastic. You are not only entertaining as a fighter, you're entertaining as a person, just a great guy to be around. Can't wait to see everybody on the card. I know Jim Mooney and everybody at 247 is continuing to put announcements out there. They just announced. I am super excited. Not sure if you're going to the grappling card, but it's my first time ever seeing sort of a live tag match in the sense that it's going to be. Yeah, I'm my brain has exploded. Nick Rod, who's a very highly ranked Nogi Jiu-Jitsu world champion, is going to be competing against 3 local grapplers, all talented in their own right, and it's going to be one after another. And what I'm most excited about is the fact that, and I think in Jiu-Jitsu it makes sense, the match will continue even if there are submissions. I actually think that makes it, for that particular match, if there is a submission, it doesn't end the match. It keeps going no matter how many submissions there are. So it's a very unique match. Nick Rod versus Tanner Hall. Of course, I'm going to do this, but I know them all. The stud Jake Lowry, and nope, Tanner Hall's matched up maybe against somebody else. It's Jake Lowry, Cody Gamble, and an Army guy. Man, I'm blowing it, but they're all great.
Thank you for your service, Army guy.
Yeah, the Army guy, I'm actually going to have him on soon. I'm trying to look because I hate blanking on names. So in honor of the Army guy, his name is, and he's part of it, Zach Hubberston is the third part of that trio going up against Nick Rod. So just incredible stuff. What excitement. And of course, MMA always brings the roof down. So always fantastic having you on the show. Can't wait to see it. Hope to get Caprice all on to talk about his side of their first fight. Can't wait to see what happens. I'd assume the 247 award show will be in early January like it was last year. Can't wait to be a part of that. Really looking forward to it, and really looking forward to seeing you and all the other great war contenders. Keep in mind, you are going to need to watch the full card for the Cincinnati event if you haven't, because the main event is getting buzz as a potential. It's a competition because it's getting buzz as potential fight of the year. So you're going to have to check that one out as competition against you. But anyhow, thanks so much for coming on. You've been listening to Luke Pace and MMA Fancast. Brawl in the Burgh 18 for 247 Fighting Championships. Buy tickets from Ace Christner or his gym or 247fighting.com. Thanks so much, Ace.
Wear your costumes if you buy tickets from me.
Wear costumes. Ace, thanks so much. Thanks for what you do to keep people safe out there. Always glad to have you out there in emergency situations. Can't wait to see you live in action at the Hollywood Casino, the Meadows of a Hollywood Casino. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You got it.